Good evening and you're welcome to Business and Enterprise. My name is Colm Colgan, and as always we will be talking to our guest later on in the programme where we'll be finding out about their business, but perhaps we might just have a quick look back on what we have done and more importantly where we're going next year in 2013. The Business and Enterprise programme has been running on this channel since the summer. It first started off with Hugh Leddy and then I took over myself. The ethos of the programme is of course to allow businesses from the area an outlet where they can kind of reach a bigger audience to show what they have, to show what they can do, and basically show the world what their wares are. And if you're sitting at home and you have your own business, well, you can contact us anytime here at Drumlin Media, and you can kind of come in and we'll take it from there. Okay, my guest tonight is Andrew Pearce of JB Hope Limited. It's a new and unique shop here in Bridge Street in Cavan. Andrew, you're very welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
Normally when I have a guest in and has a business, my first question is always, let's find a little bit about your own background, and I hear some boring story about them growing up and joining their father's business. And then you, however, have quite an interesting life before we get into business. For start, like me, you're a blow into the area, but I think you're the more acceptable face of inwards to Cavan. You're from America. I'm only from Dublin.
Yeah, I kind of wonder about the America bit sometimes, but I know it's great to be here. I was told that I'll be a blow-in until I have grandparents in the churchyard, and I guess I asked if my wife's count, and no, I guess not.
Absolutely. Where did you move from?
We came here from Georgia, Valdosta, Georgia, the southern United States. I was in the Air Force for 20 years, and at the end of the 20 years, we decided it was time to go, and we looked at what do we do? Do we set up in the United States, or do we come to Ireland? And of course, the Celtic Tiger was in full bloom at the time, so we decided we would come here. Didn't mean to kill it, by the way.
And of course, when you say we, you mean your wife, who's actually from these parts. She's from
Virginia.
She's from Virginia.
That's right. So people think the American connection, when we say Virginia, they immediately think Virginia, the United States, but no, Virginia, County Cavan.
Where did you meet?
Well, as I said, I was in the Air Force, and back in the 80s, I got sent to England, RAF Mildenhall. It's in East Anglia. And Jackie had actually gone there to work. She had an aunt that had immigrated to England some time before and found work for her and invited Jackie over. And I met her, and then I met, that's kind of the long and short of it.
And the rest is history. And during the Air Force, your period in the Air Force, anywhere interesting?
A few places. I joined back in 1980. And so that was the Ronald Reagan years. Vietnam was still very fresh in everyone's memories, being only over in 1973. A lot of the guys around me, it wasn't popular to be in the military still, but Ronald Reagan was doing his best to change all that. So with Reagan, I got to, I suppose, go to Panama, places like that, Canada, and then later on to Europe, to England and to Germany. At first, Desert Storm. We got to go to Crete, of all places. So that was great. And so I've traveled around quite a bit, yeah.
And all your time in the Army, was that, in the Air Force, I know you guys get touchy when you get the forces mixed up. Was it all, I'm not looking at the term I'm looking for, unactive service? In other words, were we in any war zones, or was it always backgrounds?
Well, one nice thing about being in the Air Force, I mean, it was a big decision for me. My father had been in the Navy. And both my brothers one had been in the Army, the other had been in the Air Force, but only for short stints. But the nice thing about the Air Force is, like, I was an enlisted guy, and the enlisted guys get to stay back because you're the ones working on the airplanes, and the pilots are the ones that go out into the war zones, right? So we just sit there and wait for them to come back.
So anyway, it was time to leave the Air Force, and you decided to come back to this country called Ireland. Had you been here before?
Only visiting a few times. Of course, when I met Jackie stationed in England, we came back and forth quite a few times, meet the parents, all that sort of thing. And then we were to the States for a few years. Had our son had to bring him back to see the grandparents, of course, and then we got stationed in England, or not in England, in Germany, and so we're back and forth a few times, but just those sort of 1 week, 2 week, 3 week visits.
And then you made a decision to come back to Ireland.
That's right.
Did you start going to business straight away, or what was your career path once you hit Ireland?
My career, the first few months I worked with my father-in-law, who's a builder, not a developer, but a builder, and he kind of helped me get my feet on the ground, gave me a chance to do a few things while I had putting CVs in. And first place I put in a CV was with Colm Placements. It was a recruitment agency on downtown on Main Street in Cavan, and Jerry and Helena Collins. And I just said, listen, can we do anything with this? It's an American CV. And they said, we'll have a look at it, give you a call. So they gave me a call, and they said, yeah, would you come talk to us? We'd like you to go to work with us. So I spent the next, almost 12 years with Jerry and Helena there doing, business training, business consultancy. It became quite, I suppose, very well versed in employment legislation, employment rights, entitlements, things like that. Did a lot of work with employers.
Now, apart from, we say, the force of your personality, had the Air Force trained you to work in that type of business?
Well, yes. The last 7 years of the Air Force, I had actually been on the wing staff, and I was working for the wing commander, the installation commander, to advise him and other commanders on equal opportunity issues within. But that kind of also went bigger than equal opportunity and discrimination. It also went into a bit of employment rights. I was a trained mediator. I would mediate employment disputes between, I suppose, civilian and military workers. I would investigate discrimination complaints and just by and large try to help commanders solve problems that would crop up inside of their commands.
So that's because I visions of you coming straight from the U.S. Air Force and going straight to work with Jerry, you know. And I suppose like all things from the Celtic Tiger, there came a time when that had to end, and you said, I must do something for myself. You decided to set up J&B Hope. What was the inspiration for that?
Back in the Air Force, when my wife and I left England, took her back to the States for the first time to live, we found ourselves in Dayton, Ohio. And in Ohio, Ohio is actually home to the largest Amish population in the United States. Most people think Pennsylvania, Lancaster.
And when you say Dayton, I immediately think of racing cars.
Yeah, there's a huge Air Force museum there as well. So yeah, but Dayton.
So you have an Air Force museum on that side of the road. Across the road is the racetrack, and then you have these buggies going down the middle.
Well, the buggies are actually farther to the east and farther north, but there's a huge Amish community. And of course, when we'd have time off, weekends, things like that, we'd try to travel. We love to go and see things and do things, experience things. And so we found ourselves in Amish country in Ohio. We visited this Amish general store, and it was just fantastic. I mean, it blew me away, just the range of things and the fact that the people themselves were so, I suppose, self-sufficient. Their community, they all rely on each other in the community, but you know, they live essentially off the grid, if you will. They're able to do and make things for themselves. And the store itself, just the range of things, everything from oil lamps to horse-drawn plows to buggies and carriages, but it was everything, of course, by hand. And everything was very, very well made. And it was just a very inspiring day. And we said to ourselves, when we left that, we said, you know, if we ever had a shop, that's what we'd like to do, something like that.
Now, I can imagine this shop was in the middle of Amish country. I was nearly going to say an Amish reservation, but in the middle of Amish country where you had lots of Amish clients who wanted this type of product. Yet you have somehow managed to kind of transplant this into Cavan. And I was only chatting to a young guy there 2 nights ago, and the subject of the internet came up, and he's in college, and he said, like, if the internet was down, even for a day, oh God, I don't know what we do, you know. And people have become that way. And the idea of a store that uses selling products that uses no or little or no energy, it must be amazing for people to grasp.
Well, we like to think that it is certainly something different, and we don't sell anything in the shop that requires electricity. Okay, we sell things that work on a stove and require a heat source, so whether that's solid fuel or electric or gas or whatever, it really doesn't make any difference. But Yeah, it has created, I suppose, a bit of interest, and people like an element, the idea. There is something about maybe the timing is right with sort of the demise of the tiger as well, about maybe slowing things down just a little bit and trying to be that little bit more self-sufficient and to be able to do things off the grid that just don't add to the power bill.
And what are some of the products that you do?
Some of the most popular products. Certainly, one of the ones that gets a lot of attention is the close air, the mechanical, the pulley close air. Put the pulleys in the ceiling and run it up and down. So, okay, one of these things will cost you about €80, and within a few months, will pay for itself.
Will that buy me again? Yeah, it's.
Every house here, I understand, because everyone that comes in, like, oh, we used to have one of those in our house. And it was over the range, and Granny had it, and we all took them out. Whatever it was, we redid the house, and they're all gone now. And I didn't even think you could get these anymore. But yeah, they're the lats with the metal frame. I've actually been into some houses. I've seen some that are wood, all made of wood, and you can lower them and raise them over the range, over the
cover. So these are the equivalent of what we'd call a clothes horse. I don't know what they call it.
Yes, that's right, but they're on pulleys.
But they're on pulleys, and
you can raise them up out of the way.
Yes.
And I mean, people have been people come in, they talk to us about what they're trying to do, what they're thinking of. Someone was looking at one, they thought, well, this would be a great thing to put over the bathtub, simply because there's so much wasted space over the bathtub, and it was perfectly. It's a model that's perfectly flat. You can fold your towels, things like that, and put them up on the way, and they look really, really good. Another person was looking for one to put in a press, by the cylinder, just a bit again to take advantage of tall ceilings and things like that.
I don't know what to call them in the States. We call them the hot press.
Yeah, the hot press. Yeah, the hot press.
I'm sure you have a better name for them over the States.
The closet. But we don't even have hot presses. I don't even. And then just to put them in the utility rooms and people that do have the the Rayburns, the Agas, or something like that. Trying to bring them back. So they're very popular.
So basically you get your clothes dried now for free, effectively, because, again, everybody is cutting back on electricity now. Bills have gone through the roof. And one of the things that if you're in the ESB hub, or if you check out the web or magazine, one of the biggest user of electricity is the tumble dryer.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So apart from clothes area, what else have we got?
Well, we do at the moment a lot of cookware, but I also do. I mean, some things that also get a lot of attention are we have a flour mill. It's a tabletop flour mill. You do flour a few cups at a time in order to make your bread, and then an oat flaker where you can take the oats, the oat groats, and run them through this flaker and make your own porridge. So you can buy a bag of oat groats for about, I don't know, 25, 30 euro, right? And then you can take that, it'll last you for a long time. You can get up in the morning and roll your oats. You can also use it to make crumble, bread, things like this.
So again, coming from a city background where if we wanted our porridge, we went to the shop with. You're talking about getting the oaty things that grow in the field.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You put them in the top, turn it, and then
wind it up
out at the end.
It comes out, and it's really, really good. We get our oats from Flavin's, and it's the exact same oats that they use in their own process. In fact, Flavin's came up because when I was getting the oats from them, they came up and actually got one of my little flakers to take it back, and they have a little museum that they put up in Florida, Waterford or Wexford, Waterford, I think it is, right? Yeah. And but it's so neat, and it's so good. It's so the oats, the oat groats as a whole grain. I mean, they really don't go off. It's only when they're processed and they're broken that they actually go. You need to put a sell-by date on them. Yeah. But the oat groats will.
It's kind of the equivalent of Ballygan water. Their tagline is filtered through rocks for thousands of years, put in a bottle, and the end that's before 2013. Obviously, it's the same with the oats.
With the oats, yeah, but that with the groats, it's not the case. The groats, interesting coffee beans. You do a lot of coffee as well. The coffee beans, the whole beans, they don't go stale. Just like the whole oats and the whole wheat, they don't go stale. It's only when you crush them, right, when you grind them, that they will actually go stale. So by having the whole the wheat, the oats, or the whole coffee bean, you just use it as you go, and it's fresher.
So a couple of years ago, if you wanted a coffee, you screwed off Maxwell House, put in a spoon. Then we kind of moved up a bit, and then you got granules that you filtered. Now we've gone a step back further, that we can get the coffee beans, put them in our coffee bean grinder, turn them into granules, filter them, and then have the coffee.
Yes. I know for some folks it's become a morning ritual to get up in the morning and to put the beans in their grinder, give it a few whirls, and then make their fresh cup of coffee. And there really isn't anything like it. There just really isn't anything like it, because you go down to I don't know if I really want to say the word, but Tesco or someplace like that, and you get the box and you bring it home and you open it and you put it in the press, and every day it gets a little staler and a little staler and a little staler to get it. Not with the beans. You get up in the morning, they're fresh, they're beautiful every morning.
And as you said, going back to the Celtic Tiger, with that being over, more people have more time, because I'm sure when you were working with Jerry, you jumped up out of bed, either grabbed a cup of instant coffee, maybe drank it in the car driving down, or maybe you stopped somewhere and you were drinking your coffee out of a paper cup because you didn't have time. Now, with things more relaxed, we have time to grind the coffee and make it taste that better.
Yeah, there's some truth to that, because when working with Colleen, we did a lot of work down in Cork, in Tralee, Dingle, Dublin, Sligo, Derry. So I was all over the country, all the time. So I spent a lot of time on the road. So this was a good change for me, to be able to slow down a bit and to do something now that I want to do, and that again, it puts me in contact with a lot of people, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
So.
Now, demonstrations. Do you just go in and buy it, or can people find out how it works? Because a lot of people, particularly at trade shows, exhibitions, like the Idea Homes exhibition, I'm sure you've seen them here. The amount of stuff that we've stood in queue. Oh, that looks fantastic! God, I brought it home. How did he say he used it? And you tried it a couple of times, and I got put in the end of the press, and that was the end of it. Do you give demonstrations of how this? Like, it's very easy saying you put the oat in the top, and then your porridge comes out. But
we put everything out there. I mean, the whole point. One of the things we really want people to do is to come in and play. Right? Come in and play with the stuff. Use it. People ask the question, like, how does that? We have an old-fashioned cast meat mincer. People ask, how does it work? Well, okay, if you want to know how it works, let's go get some mince and put in it, right? Or it's not some mince, but some beef from next door, right? And Donahoe's, and we'll put some beef in there and let's run it through, see how it works. We have butter churns. They're great. You wouldn't believe the butter. 10 minutes, right? You can have some beautiful, fresh butter. Let's see how it works. If the customer comes in and they're willing to give a bit of time, we're willing to let them use whatever they want. I have customers that come in and we have the oat flaker in there, and they roll their own. They flake their own. So I just say, there you go. There's your bag of oats for €1. They go through and roll them up and put them in a bigger bag and take them home. So, but that's what it's all about. It is about doing.
Now, the products that you have, where do you get them from? Where do you source them from?
I can't believe that. When I look at my supplier list, we are importing a number of things directly from the United States. So we have some things like the Lodge cast iron. Cast iron is another fantastic product. It's one of the things a lot of retailers are thinking, like, there's no market for that. There's no market. People love it. It's the absolute best thing you can cook on. My wife and I were given a set of cast iron pans for our wedding 20 years ago, right? And anyway, we still cook them everything. And you can put them on the oven. You can put them in the oven. You can put them on the grill, right? And the food that just comes out, when you have a sauce, it just boils away in that cast iron, it just simmers. It just does something beautiful to the food. And people love it. People come in and they say, oh, well, how do they work? I've had people come in, buy cast iron pans, come back the next day and say, oh, I didn't like that because it stuck. I didn't think it'd stick. So I explained to them how that it works, right? But if somebody is unhappy and it doesn't do what they want it to do, I will take it back. I have no problem. I want what people buy from us to work.
And how do you stop a cast iron pan sticking?
It will always stick a bit, right? Because it is not Teflon, right? It's naturally seasoned by the oils that you're using to cook, So there are certain things that will always stick to it a bit. But the beautiful thing is, you can get your metal utensil out and
scrape away as much as you like, and it doesn't matter. Yeah,
and it doesn't matter, and because you're not going to hurt the pan, right?
Yeah.
But a well-seasoned pan, I get up in the morning. It's almost a tradition. We get up on the weekend, Sunday morning, and make pancakes, American pancakes, sort of American style. Not crepes, but pancakes, right? And you put them on that cast iron pan and flip them over. It just needs a little bit of oil or butter at the bottom. They don't stick. They just won't stick. You will get sometimes the sausage, the skins of the sausage. It'll stick a bit to it, and you've got to work it off a little bit. But no, you put your sauces in there. It's just very, very close to nonstick.
Fantastic. So we were going back to the I don't know how we got this, but maybe get your product from, and then we end up talking about sausage again.
But so from the States, importing directly, I have the cast iron. I have popcorn coming in from Indiana. I have the ornamental windmills, which are a kind of interesting talking piece, coming in from Iowa. I have quilting frames and quilting supplies coming in from Salt Lake City in Utah. And I'm looking for more things as well. And I have a guy that's working for me now in New Jersey to source products for me to ship directly. Because I don't like having to buy American products through the UK because I get hit with exchange rates twice. There's just something about, wait a second, why do I have to go to the UK to get products from my own country? It doesn't make sense to me. So,
yeah.
But we have those. The flakers and the mills are handmade in Austria. Beautiful, beautiful products. I have Italian cookware. I have that I do source straight from Italy. One of the most popular things we have in the shop.
And when you say source, like where did you get the idea from? This is what I want, and then find out where it was.
Well, that's a good question. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Is it a wonderful world of the internet, or is it kind of in your travels you'd seen these things, and over the years you'd taken a note that Italy is great for such America? Well, I was born and bred there. I know what's available in America.
It's a bit of everything. It's one. I know in the time that I spent working with Clay and working with successful small businesses here across Ireland, the ones that were really, really stellar were the ones where the owners, were just constantly thinking and constantly looking and constantly curious and willing to ask questions and stop. I was talking to someone who had a fencing company here near Cavan, and she was telling me one day how they would go on their vacations down to Cork, and they would see something, they would just pull over, go into somebody's house, knock on their door, and ask them about how they did it. And I think there's that wonderful need, it's that curiosity, that willingness to ask questions, to look. So yeah, I constantly see things. I'm constantly keeping my eyes open. People are talking to me during the fly. I had people coming in making recommendations. I followed up on some of those. I ended up getting the Flavin's oats because of someone who came in who had suggested that I talk to Kilbeggan
distillery.
No, it's not a distillery, but oh goodness gracious, what is it? But anyway, but they do meals and they do their own porridge, things like that, but it's organic. They suggest I talk to them. I talk to them, trying to get the old growths in the gut. So it's people talking to me talking to people. Yes, there's a lot of us on the internet. It's just getting ideas and trying to follow up on them.
Now, do you have the stock here in Cavan, or does somebody come in and say, that's a great, I would love a set of those pots? Do you then set the wheels in motion and order them in, or do you go out to the back store and say, here, I your pots, thank you very much?
No, we don't have the capital to have a lot of stock.
Yeah.
So and one of the themes about the store and the way that we do it is we buy little bits of everything. I mean, it is an expensive way to start, but it's also a good way to test the water. So we don't buy large quantities of anything, but we go out and we get a few of them and we see what happens with them. And there are some things that that we're willing to give quite a long time to see if they will work or not, rather than just go in a few weeks, and if they don't go off the shelf, then that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Because we know that some of these products will take some development, and they will take people coming in and play with them and working with them. But all over. By the way, you were still talking about products. I'm going to say I have stuff from Australia, right? we do source quite a bit of stuff from the UK and from other Irish wholesalers, but it's coming from around the world.
So you sound like you have fantastic products and give a great service, and it's a great experience. But how do you let people know that you're there?
Well, at the moment, we haven't been working too hard.
Because you're not on Main Street, you're actually on Bridge Street. So the passing trade won't see it. We know each other from another area, so that's how I came across it. Otherwise, I wouldn't know that you were there. And I'm just wondering, how do your, even leaving big marketing campaigns out of it, how at the moment do people find out about you?
Primarily at this point, it has been word of mouth. We've done some advertising, very little advertising, specials, a couple things that we've run in the Celt. The Celt has been very good to us, in fact, because they actually did a feature on us sometime just after the flaw, right? Flaw. I can't.
That sounds very better. You said the flaw.
But they did a feature on us, and a lot of people saw that. And as we track everything, we keep really good records about sales and stuff like that, and that was a big boost for us. And then
social media, that type of thing.
Facebook has been good. So it was recommended to us, and again, it's by people that come in and say, "Well, listen, you should really do that." And we try to really pay attention to what people are telling us. We went out, we did the Facebook thing, and we have that, and that's growing little by little with little things on there. We do try to put a few things on that, and we're getting a small growth there. But most of it has been word of mouth. But we had another customer that sent me an email back. At the end of November, saying, "Listen, have you heard of Fiverr Friday? And you should really get on Fiverr Friday." And I hadn't heard of Fiverr Friday.
Now, even had you not heard of Fiverr, probably hadn't heard of Joe Duffy.
Well, I had. In fairness, all the years I've been driving up and down the country, I'd I'd listened to Joe a few times, but I thought, well, gee, I wonder if I'd missed it. And so, anyway, because a customer had taken the time to suggest it, I sent them an email, and next thing you know, Joe Duffy Show's on the other end of the phone, and then so we had a lot of people coming in saying, "I heard you on the Fiverr Friday." So this is the way it's going. We have not put a huge effort into marketing and advertising yet, and the primary reason for that is that what we didn't want to do was overpromise, overcommit. We want to grow slowly, organically, make our mistakes, go by word of mouth.
That must be your first promotion. So tell our viewers where you are and what you do in 30 seconds, as they say.
All right. We are Cavan's Amish-influenced Irish-American general store, where everything is natural and by hand. And you can get some of the finest coffee in Ireland to make at home or to have in our shop. And you can also get very good quality housewares, cookwares, other things like that, general merchandise and general hardware to help make your house a bit more like your home.
Well, Andrew, what a fantastic way to end the programme and the season for the year, because this, obviously being on the Mount of Christmas, will be the last programme of the year. So I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas and your family a Merry Christmas. And any of our viewers out there, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Talk to you in the new year. And again, as we said in the beginning, if you have a business that you think you would like to tell the world about, do contact with Drumlin Media or on the web. So that's it. Have a great Christmas, have a great week, and talk to you again real soon. Bye bye.